you actors up here see yourselves as kids accurately represented on screen? Right.
As a kid, I did not.
You know, and that's what you're speaking to now, is now this generation of kids who have those opportunities, you know, who see that, who recognize themselves, and it's why this work that we're doing is so important, because it can change the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just, you know, just to hear from you, I know most of you, so, but what do you feel is the impact of basically expanding upon the one sort of definition in television and film that we've had for Native roles? Like, as we expand that, what do you feel like the ripple and impact is upon those next generations?
Well, it's evident. I mean, like Kimberly said, dances with wolves. I mean, after that, oh my gosh, there was only a handful of Native entertainers or actors in town. And after Dances with Wolves, I mean, everyone was coming. And so with a lot more people engaged, well, then there was a lot more awareness. And so it keeps building, but yet then you go through a dry period. It's like this, you know, that used to be called the flavor of the month. And I don't think that we will be a flavor of the month anymore, because we are here. And because we have role models, and because we've been here for so long, we are not a flavor of the month. We are represented.
I have a quick anecdote to this. Story is medicine. And our people, every people, used to sit around a fire and tell stories. And that's how we understood where we've been, where we are, and where we were going. Who we understood to be as human beings. It's the heart of each of, we all represent so many different nations up here, but at the heart of each of those indigenous languages, it's the people. The people that live by the hills, the people that live by the lake, the people that, you know, and so it's about being a human being. Story can be bad medicine, or it can be healing medicine. What if you're getting no medicine? And it's been your lifeblood for thousands and thousands of years. My anecdote is, I was sitting at a film festival in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was in a film that was the last one to play. Smoke Signals opened it, followed by Randy Redroad's The Doughboy. And our film opened it. Our film opened it. I don't like to watch myself early on, so I missed that. Then I came in for Smoke Signals, which is about my third time getting to see it. This is, you know, kind of there were VHS tapes and stuff like that, but, you know, there wasn't streaming, obviously, back then, so it was really exciting to get to see it in a theater again, on the big screen. And then The Doughboy was the last one. The Doughboy is based in Oklahoma. I'm a little Indian girl from Oklahoma. And the opening sequence opened up, and there was a little Indian boy running through the woods with a bow and arrow. I am still, but was as a child, an incredibly tomboy-ish young girl. Now I would have no problem. Like, gender neutral was like, yes, I'm all over that. But back then, tomboy. And I saw this little boy running through the woods, in my Oklahoma woods, with my boy haircut that I had. I mean, it was basically me. And it was around my era and I went into a panic attack, and my husband looked at me and he's, you know, asked me what was wrong. I never had a panic attack in my life. I couldn't breathe. The tears came to my eyes. I had to run out of the theater, which is really embarrassing because the whole theater was full. I had to run out of the theater through the exit. And I just remember coming to consciousness against a brick wall, going, what's going on? What's going on? And my husband came after, and he said, and finally I said, I've never seen myself. I've never seen myself. And it was after seeing Smoke Signals and then The Doughboy and realizing for the first time how much I missed that story, how much I missed seeing myself. When I bet everybody up here was just as addicted to television and film as I was, you know. We didn't have really a film, like we didn't have a movie house in like the town I grew up with very, very often. So it was the TV for me. And to not see yourself represented. And I strongly believe, I don't know, Tokala, maybe you agree with this as well, you know, but I feel like our suicide epidemic and a lot of our, you know, the painful challenges and addictions that we face and the loss of hope A lot of that has come because of that breaking of the sacred hoop of the stories. And I think this will impact it. I think us being represented, David being in Maleficent, did I say that right? Maleficent. It's gonna matter. It's gonna matter that he was in Maleficent. Maleficent.
I completely agree with what you just said about the understanding of the suicides. When I was growing up, I didn't really have very many heroes that I could look at to be able to emulate that came from this modern age. If you went to my school when I was a kid and you asked any little kid, who's your hero? They'll say, Red Cloud, Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse. And the reality is, if I had somebody that I could look at on TV, that would give me another avenue to be able to say, I could do that too, right? Because I can't do what Crazy Horse did. I can't do what Red Cloud did. But I can probably do what Jason Momoa does, you know? I mean, that's really cool, right? I love seeing a Native person actually getting the ability to just be a human being, be a powerful human being, right? I mean, Aquaman is all over the world, one of the biggest money-drawing things that happened, and that was led by a guy that looks very similar to all of my cousins, right? I'm too skinny to be anything close to that, but I could, like, you know, move it out to my cousin and say, okay, yeah, that's somebody from my community too, right? I don't think that it's the same now. I feel like I'm getting an understanding from young people when I go to visit these communities of Native Indigenous people throughout various countries too, not just in the United States, but down in Mexico and in Canada. I'm hearing that they completely believe they can do a better job than I ever did inside of a movie, right? And they're like, I could do better than you, right? So I'm waiting for them to come and take my parts away from me. You know, I want you to come and take my parts away from me. And here's the other thing. As far as what they were talking about with Zan, this is 100% true. For casting people out there, I have had to learn Shoshone, right? Not my native language, not even close to my native base. I've had to learn Mayan and be able to actually converse with people in it and be tested on it. If you get a native actor that has any kind of resume at all, that actor could probably act in any language that you want them to act in. You give them German, you give them French, you give them anything. Some kind of alien languages, a language of the elves, you know? I mean, I've got a big nose, but I could make a really good elf, right? Koryanka could completely be from like a different planet. I mean, totally, right? I want to see
Someone's
us
writing
not
these down,
just
right?
be
We're going to pitch these.
back in history, right? I don't want to just be period piece. I love wearing pants, right? So I want to thank
Shirts.
Rene Haynes because she got me into my first film that I was ever in a big role on,
Me
and I
too,
got to
thank
wear
you,
pants
Rene.
in it too, right? So I started off right from the beginning, right? I didn't have the same story as Steve Rivas and all these other guys that had to wear breechcloths first, but I still had to transition into the breechcloth thing to actually maintain work, right? I would love to be able to see Native people, yes, being doctors, yes, being lawyers, but put us in the future too, man. I mean, you know, Captain Kirk needs a Native, you know? Picard should have a freaking Native guy thinking about stuff and connecting with the spirit of the planet or something like that, you know? We exist,
And
we
it should
have,
be a
We
woman,
would.
too.
and we do right now. So when you think about who could we put inside of this, think about a Native person. Think about the talent that actually exists there, the fact that they have to learn multiple languages and be able to not just sound like they are speaking that language is generally we get tested, and we get tested hardcore. Rene can tell you I had to go to like 10 callbacks to get the Shoshone gig, right? Because I almost had my language right, and they were like, oh, your acting is good, but you need to get your language right. So it's a tough deal. Any one of us that are on this panel, I guarantee you, like I said, we could probably speak Klingon if you gave us a month.
And there's one thing about language, native language, you always have that nation that's going to hear it. So you want to honor them. You don't want to fake it, because they will let you know if you do. So that's another layer that most people don't even have to entertain, you know. So we have our critics out there.